You're listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX for quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go.
This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. We're trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks with the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Oh man, Kevin.
Are you doing okay, Spleen?
I'm not doing so good. I don't know if we can do this. I don't know if I can do it.
Well, what's wrong, man? Walk me through this.
They got him. They took him. They got him.
Who did they?
They got Chup Chunklet. They got him.
Oh no. Well,
Yeah.
what happened?
He got the clap. It was
Okay.
It was what do you call it? It wasn't the one you know. It was the golf clap. It's a lot sneakier and harder to hear coming.
Okay. Well. I mean, what happened? Is he alive?
Chup Chunklet is gone. I think we got to do the show in his honor.
Oh, okay. There's no. I'm gonna pour one out for Chup.
Pouring one out for Chup. This one goes out to all the Chup and all of his chunklets. You know, he had a lot of chunklets out there. Some chunklets he didn't even know about. Oh man!
Oh, it's such a tragedy.
I think. Do you have the clip? Let's play the clip.
Okay. I have no clip.
Let's play the clip.
We don't plan this thing a little bit better.
No. Let's play the clip.
Okay. Well, let's assume a clip goes in right here.
All right. Hey, Chup, how you doing? Oh, hey, just being a big cookie. That is my whole deal. Wow, that's incredible, Chup. That's right. Bite off a chunk of this, Chunklet. Ah, we love your catchphrase. Wow, what a man! And that's just how Chup was. You know, he was the same on and off mic, just a ray of sunshine, or just a splash of chocolate and vanilla into all of our busy lives. You know what I'm saying?
The world will not be the same without Chup.
Yeah. You remember when Chup Chunklet met with the Pope?
I did. That's gonna go down in the history books as probably like 8 of the top 10 things not to do in front of a pope. You know.
Let's play the clip.
All right, I'm gonna insert a clip right here.
Oh, I'm the freaking Pope. How's it going? Peace be with you. Oh, and I'm Chup Chunklet. Why don't you take a big chunk of this chunklet? Brap. Oh no, my golf clap is acting up. I'm the Pope. I got the golf clap. Oh no, I'ma die. I better go meet JD Vance. Oh man, who could forget that? I mean, literally, it happened like a couple days ago. It's crazy that wasn't in the news.
Well, I think Chup's PR people are probably a little bit more on the ball than JD Vance's.
Yeah. And let's not forget the time that Chup stayed with me when my wife died.
All right, let me roll back Chup too.
Okay. Hey, Chup, you gotta help me. I ran my wife over in this car. Oh, how about you take a chunk of this chunklet? Oh, you. Man, that guy. Who could forget?
Should we explain any of this? Because I feel like this is like a 10-minute inside joke between us right now based off of something I pasted you a week ago.
Oh, my deal is a big inside joke that doesn't make sense to the audience.
That is true. That is true.
You know what's the saddest thing about all this?
What's that?
Is that I could have cured him. I had the technology. Well, I almost had the technology.
What was he sick with? I'm a little unclear.
A golf clap. He had the golf clap.
Right, but what does that mean? In like, I'm not a doctor. What does that mean?
It's golf chlamydia. Or is gonorrhea the clap?
We can call it either way.
Oh, it's gonorrhea. Yeah, he had golfaria. He shit golf balls out of his dick. You see, he got infected semen in his eyes.
Of course.
Yeah. It caused sore throat, conjunctivitis, and unusual penile discharge.
That does sound like Chup. That really does. Yeah.
That sounds, isn't that Chup up and down? Well, I could have cured him. By the way, I cured myself. I don't have what do you call it? Lycanthropy anymore.
Really? How did that happen?
Well, wait, no. I mean, I still do. I basically don't though. It's basically
it's in remission.
No, well, yeah.
Did you have to get a remission test?
No, it's like if you're going to go to the doctor and they're going to give you antibiotics, aren't you basically in remission from the infection, you know?
Yeah, yes.
I ordered a med bed, Kevin.
Are you seeing RFK's doctor by any chance? Is that
you hear about these med beds?
No, I haven't.
Here's what's crazy. They can cure any disease.
Oh, okay.
They can do anything a doctor can, but better.
Is this the My Pillow guy's next venture?
It's someone's something, I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Well, I need one. Chuck should have had one.
Yeah, I mean, you've gone to the dentist, the doctor, etc. How much you spend on that? Because a med bed can do all of that stuff. And it's only $2,000.
That sounds affordable to cure all my ailments.
Yeah, it's crazy. Can you believe that? It's $2,000. And I got one. Well, I will. It's on the way. Or the GoFundMe campaign hasn't ended. I get confused. But I'm going to have one.
So you have a GoFundMe where you're trying to raise some...
No, I kickstarted it.
Oh, Kickstarter. Okay. I thought maybe you had your own GoFundMe.
I do. But what does that have to do with this?
So I'm just trying to keep the story going here.
Can you plug my GoFundMe?
Yes, please.
I'm trying to pay for shipping because I haven't got the money together to ship the med bed once it gets here. It's $2,000. That's not the shipping. The shipping. Do you know how big one of these things is? It has to go by freight.
Oh, that sounds expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap. And you got to get like a crane. I live in an apartment, Kevin. I can't get this up the stairs. No one can. No man can get this up the stairs.
So how? So it's purely you just have to bring a crane in.
I mean, I think, yeah. This thing, it's full of these fluids, Kevin. It's like a Bacta tank. You know about a Bacta tank?
No, I can't tell which
from Star Wars.
Oh, okay. All right, yes.
A med bed. Look it up. It's the future. It's literally science fiction, but it's real.
Oh, okay. Tell me more while I Google this to figure out which
there's not much to them other than what I said. They could do anything a doctor could do. They're $2,000.
Okay, well, the first search result says the truth about med beds. It's a miracle cure that doesn't exist.
No, it exists. I ordered one.
Oh, okay. What? Okay. Oh, so this is short for meditation bed, not medical.
No, it's short for meditation. I think.
Okay.
Look, you can't get me with all this psychobabble, man. I got the med bed.
Okay. Well, please let us know how that goes when you get one, because I've got some ailments.
Yeah, you sure do. The idiot disease, you fucking idiot. I bet the med bed can cure that. They can probably fix your damn brain and that smart mouth of yours too, getting fresh all the time. Now that I think about it, the med bed can bring people back to life. So I think this might not be the last of the last we've seen of Chup.
Well, I mean, if you're preserving his corpse, I think the first thing you should do when this bed gets there is throw him on it.
Preserving his corpse. What's that?
Don't know. I just assumed it was something that you already knew how to do.
I mean, I made him into jelly. If that's what you mean.
That's not what I meant. But okay. Let's go with that. What like mint jelly? What kind of jelly are we talking?
Petroleum jelly.
Petroleum jelly.
I'm aware, car, Kevin.
Okay. Sorry. It makes sense after you say it. It just takes a while to get there sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The med bed will cure that right up.
Okay.
Bring him back to life. You can do anything. I think you can make sandwiches.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A medical sandwich.
I mean, can it fix wear car ailments like, oil changes and things like that too?
Yeah. You can put your car in it. It fills up your tank.
Is this our new sponsor? Is that where you're heading with this?
Oh God, I hope so, because I cannot afford this shipping. Maybe they'll send it to me if free of charge.
I feel like we should probably get these sponsorship arrangements made before you order stuff. That way we can maybe get some free things.
Well, if you can stop me from getting kicked out of the high-powered waiting rooms, I can get to the waiting room. That's about as far as I can get before I'm ejected with extreme prejudice, they've said. As the court order said.
I feel like you need new legal representation, because you're ending up in court a lot for things that, maybe were preventable.
Why do you think I ordered the med bed? They could do that too. Man, this thing is going to be great. But anyway, like I was saying, I mean, you could talk all you want about getting better sponsorships, but the way we've been going about it is not working. And I think maybe, just maybe, doing the sponsorships and then asking later for money might be better than what we've been doing.
We'll try that for sure. Like, let's just start advertising products and see what happens.
Okay. This podcast is sponsored by MedMen, the creators of MedBed. MedBed, the only bed you can smoke, by MedMen. That's right. The mattress, there is a mattress. The mattress has 100% ganja, my man.
That sounds like a great deal, man, if it's only $2,000.
Yeah, because it's a fucking doctor. Forever. It can cure any disease. It can bring you back from the dead, and then represent you in court, and make a sandwich, and fill your gas tank. Fill it when you're a wear car. Filling your gas tank is it's quite the experience.
It sounds erogenous.
We'll be back with more WKUK the Cook. Wait, no, we're WKX the Quick. I thought we were the Cuck. When did we tell the Quick? Were we bought out?
There was a merger. Yeah.
Because we be sucking on toes. Oh, shit. That's not a quarter. What is that? It's like some sort of glinting bug.
It might be a euro.
Like what?
A euro, like a coin, like European coin.
Oh, no, it's like, it has 10 legs.
And legs?
Bugs don't have 10 legs. They're just spiders. Is it some sort of land squid?
I I would love to research this.
Yeah. Well, we can put it into the med bed and see what it says.
Okay.
Oh, you guys got to get a med bed. Head on down to medmed.com. It's not .com. It's a store. Goodbye.
Hey, I'm here too. What's up?
Hey, that was more surreal than usual, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I gotta learn something. I gotta figure out what I have to learn, you know?
Okay.
Chup Chunklet,
Well,
Kevin.
Yeah. So to explain to people at home what that was, way back, I don't know, 100 episodes ago, if I'm remembering this correctly, you just had the phrase Chup Chunklet stuck in your head.
Yeah, I think one time, I don't know if it was on the show or before. I want to say it was before the show. I had the idea. I said Chup Chunklet cookie instead of chocolate chip cookie, and I was like, wait a second, Chup Chunklet cookie. That could be very delicious in its own way.
Yeah. And then so like during the show, I think several times during the episode, you said that just Chup Chunklet, just randomly.
Yeah, Chup Chunklet.
Right. And then, so I was playing with some AI thing that my company was working on. And one of the things that I have a whole series of like just random general knowledge questions that we're using to test the AI stuff. And one of them is just, hey, tell me, what you know about this. Oh, no, actually, no, sorry. This one was from Spotify, actually. This wasn't our system at all. It was stirring up. This is Spotify system stirring up.
See, Kevin, you're a fucking liar. I finally caught you. Caught you.
No, I have been on pain medication for a week. The fact that I remember that any of this is a miracle right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're pain medications. Okay. I bet those are fake too. No, that was Spotify. Spotify said,
yeah, this was Spotify. No, Spotify said, hey, we're testing out these new AI generated descriptions for podcasts. Check out this summary we made for That Happens. And it says, That Happens is a comedy podcast hosted by Spencer Crittenden and Chup Chunklet, and does not mention me or Jeff or anything whatsoever. It focused on that and that alone, and then talks about Spencer, and then that was the end of it.
Right. Chup Chunklet, an indelible part of the podcast history. What it really makes you wonder, what's in these things? What's inside them?
I don't know, but this is the same kind of a mistake our AI I think keeps making too, which is why I was assuming it was just my own screw up, not Spotify's this time.
Where AI keeps coming up with Chup Chunklet?
Well, no, but in focus on like some stupidly insignificant fact and then just base reality around it, And it's, I think, one of the things where we're starting to hit this wall, this limitation of what the way we're doing AI works, that this is just going to keep happening.
I wonder what that is. To me, obviously this is all theory crafting or whatever, but like, to me, it seems like, okay, here's something absolutely unique. We got Kevin, we got Spencer, we got Jeff, but Jeff probably connects to other word trees or word webs or something. And so it's like, here's a hit that's nowhere else. So that must figure prominently into what my conception of this idea is. It's like, oh, what this is? It's Chup Chunklet up and down, because otherwise we'd see Chup Chunklet somewhere else, because clearly this is just, a concept that exists. We all know Chup Chunklet, but where it really is here. This is like, it's a big deal. And so like, it must like weight it or something, and then use that to kind of like anchor it more than you might expect, or more that it might pull other ideas in, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're dead on here. Like, so the way AI traditionally worked was basically it starts saying words and then tries to predict what the next most likely word is based off of everything it's said so far. And when we hit a brick wall of what that was allowed to do, that's where we would get these like nonsensical things, and like it would tell jokes that were not really jokes. They were just rehashing of like 5 different jokes combined, things like that. They started to flip it around of like, okay, what is the most unique thing in my database that still applies to these facts that I've just mentioned here? So probably the only place in its entire database that made any sense whatsoever with the phrase Chup Chunklet has something to do with that happens and your name. So seeing the name of the podcast, seeing the name of that started ranking really high as, hey, this is something that's possibly relevant because it's only relevant in this one context. Maybe I should just spew that out.
Yeah, maybe that's the host.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's almost definitely what happened. It's just a case of, I don't know how we're going to make stuff like that not happen and still keep improving AI without it getting way too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, one of my fundamental arguments about AI is, like, to actually achieve the kinds of results that, you know, everybody is claiming can be achieved, we'll simply have to make a different model that functions differently. That, like, because logic isn't just like association probabilities. Like, logic isn't simply like probability, you know, it flows in discrete ways that map reality, and reality isn't just like probabilities of numbers that are like in a heat map, you know. And so, like, I think there possibly could be a way to create some sort of, I don't know, inductive logic, you know, flow, and make that the new heat map instead of just like density associations. But like, that's not what it is. And again, like, the caveat I've given almost every time is it could be the case that you invent some sort of, let's say, logical flow model, and then you just staple that into what's already there, and then suddenly you can leverage all of what's already been built and then just modify it. Or it could be the case that we have to start from the ground up with this new model, you know, like, and I don't know, but it very much seems like everybody wants to just keep stapling on to the big blob amassment and hope that eventually gets us there, when realistically it just feels like it gets glossier and glossier versions of the same basic premise, which, as glossy as it is, isn't like good enough to be the thing, you know?
You know, you're exactly right. And one of the ways, stop me if this is getting too boring here, but one of the ways that people are working on trying to fix this is using a concept called mixture of experts, where instead of just one gigantic brain that knows everything, you partition it up into multiple brains that are good at different areas.
Right.
So like, there's one that would be good at math and science, one that's good at history, one that's good at sort of this, so that one of the things that will stop happening is that you're in the middle of talking about, you know, coding some application, when it just suddenly starts spitting out lyrics to music and stuff like that, because all of a sudden this one neuron fired in its brain that was like, hey, this is maybe relevant here, when there's zero chance of that happening.
Right.
You know, so they're trying to partition things down so that when you're focused in one area, you can't wander too far, but then that also limits some of the possibilities of things it can do. It's really hard for it to switch back and forth between those in the same time frame then, you know. You can't say, like, you know, analyze these song lyrics and then tell me how you could create a scientific formula based around the lyrics of the song, because those are two different experts that don't communicate with each other very well. That's simplifying it, but that's roughly kind of where they are with the idea that you just presented, and is sort of working, but not as well as people hoped.
Yeah, which I think is like closer to how like our actual intelligence is, where we silo things off and they can make cross associations, but the way like the organizing ego like references and executes those ideas is very like directed and relevant, as opposed to just kind of like almost like synesthesia or something. They're just all kind of floating up together and coming out because they feel right. Like, the governing intelligence is doing like a lot of really high level cognition, you know, to know when to pull and when to disregard. And like, that's such this intuitive, hard to define conceit that, like, and again, I think like old machine learning, how it did that is the overriding like observer intelligence was really well tuned to the task, you know, where now we need an overriding observing intelligence that can do like anything and pass it down. I don't know, like that seems like a really tough undertaking for sure. But
yeah. Well, and, we're cheating at all this right now. Like, I don't know if you're keeping up with all this, but like the hot thing in AI right now is what they call reasoning models, where they actually sit and think about things before they give you the final answer. And you can actually watch them think about, and sort of have this like mental debate over what the correct idea is and what the correct path is. And then it gives you the final answer. And at first, everybody who was doing this was keeping this really big secret as to how they taught it to think, because it really does seem like it's thinking to itself, which is something that it before was not something that was possible. All they're doing is randomly inserting words like, but wait a minute, what if, and then letting it complete that sentence. And then, oh, wait, what if I'm wrong and it's actually, and then making it complete that sentence. That's all the reasoning is forcing it to just like reconsider itself and pretend like it made a mistake and then come back to that result. And for such a stupid sounding idea, this has made an enormous leap in what things are able to do just by forcing it to think, hey, what if I'm wrong here? But by doing it the dumbest way you can imagine.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of like if you think about a seed hash, like a number that sets off a random generation, it's like throwing in new seeds, but then those seeds happen to be kind of like little codes that push it off in a specific direction as opposed to being like just a random number, Which, yeah, I mean, the true nature of human cognition is poorly understood. I guess, like what makes consciousness. Like if we had a better handle on that, we probably could, intentionally build something. Whereas like kind of what we're doing is experimenting with this big blob and tuning it to be more predictable at being the blob of our dreams.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is like, the way AI works, these large language models that are just basically predicting the next word to say and things like that. If you had asked people 10 years ago, would this actually work? Everybody would have said no, that was just going to produce garbage. That worked way better than pretty much anybody was expecting. But then we all thought, okay, well, once we got that working, all we have to do is make that smarter, and then we have real intelligence. And then now everyone's surprised that that's not working. Scaling it up to make it bigger is not improving it. It's not making it smarter. We're in fact, in some ways, making it dumber the more we add to it. I mean, there are some amazing things that are capable now that weren't available a month ago, but the rate of things changing is still insane. But we're constantly being surprised by the fact that what we thought was going to work didn't work. And this random idea someone came up with all of a sudden changed the whole industry.
Right. Yeah. I think like both of those feel to me like category errors. Like I think on some level, the early results are like largely the result of personification, where you're like, wow, that sure feels human. It almost seems like it's passing the Turing test, but maybe the Turing test isn't like actually a good benchmark for, what we're trying to do. Right. I don't know, like ages ago, there was a chatbot called Pyborg, which was all done in Python. And it was in IRC, and you could dump it into an IRC channel, and it would listen and intake a lot. And I think it would do on a very like crude level the same kind of things. It would generate heat maps of words, and then it would and then you could set it into the IRC chat again, and you could set it to reply with like a certain percent rate. So like maybe reply to 10% of posts, and then it would pick something to respond to, and then it would generate using word density, some sort of thing. And it was really funny because half the time it was gibberish, but the more like data it got, the more it felt like actually someone in a chat. And on IRC, where it's like hundreds of people or something, you might not necessarily like realize that this is just like spouting like good gibberish. You might go like, oh, that's a real person. And I think like on some level, that's what we made, it's just like a really good version of that. And then again, like the problem becomes when people go, let's just make it smarter, because that's saying, oh, we made something like me. Now we could study like I study and get better results. But it's like, well, no, it's not, that's not a thing that could study, So like applying this basic assumption to it and on how to improve it is like misunderstanding what the thing is, And I think like I think it was just so compelling. And again, the results tend to be very interesting that like, I think they're like, well, this should probably work. But again, I'm not convinced that it will be what works. I think like what it's doing is basically what it does. I don't know. Most of the interesting results I got, like, they feel like, or not the results I got, most of the more interesting like applications I've seen and am seeing are more like novel ways to use the thing and what it actually is being applied effectively and correctly, rather than like these assumptions that's like, oh, it's like a thing and we just give it more whatever. And, I don't know. It's a mess. It's all a mess. The important thing is that Nazis are going to kill us all.
We'll all be dead before this matters.
I mean, we'll be dead because this matters in all the wrong ways.
That's a sad way of looking at it, but I think you may be right there. Yeah.
That's the thing. I just like, I don't know. I think about this one podcast I listened to where, I just think the hype is so dangerous because like, I don't know, the podcast they had, what's that guy's name? Casey Newton. And, they were talking about it and they're saying that, the OpenAI people, they're like, look, this is going to solve all the world's problems. Once this rules the world, then no one will have to work. And it's like, well, you're obfuscating a lot of steps here. Like, you mean once you are given control of the world on the premise of owning this technology, then we can trust you to run the world well? That's not going to happen. You're going to fucking kill us all, and that's even assuming like, yeah. I think the base assumption of like, oh, if it gets strong enough, it'll solve all the problems. Like, again, we already know how to solve all the problems. We could stop global warming. We could end world hunger. We could cure the vast majority of diseases inflicting people. But in reality, we can't even install a fucking crosswalk in LA. And so like, so the people are like, oh, eventually we'll be able to magically solve these problems. Not if you don't want it to, not if you don't listen to it. You can already get like a grok that says that Elon's a Nazi. It doesn't make him stop being a Nazi. It's not relevant. Whatever. I'm not trying to get too soapboxy. It's just, to me, I am worried. I'm just worried. It's all good. This is way more than the thing is, Kevin, I find it very, very interesting. But what I find interesting has very little intersection with how I think it practically is and will change the planet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak to it. Okay. My primary job is as a programmer.
Sure.
And I can tell you just within the last 6 weeks, the progress some of these tools have made has made me go, okay, my job is going to become irrelevant very soon. That's how good they've gotten just in the span of about 6 weeks. I think humongous changes are happening. I cannot predict at this. It's happening so quickly and so disruptively. I don't know how to even predict where this is going to go, especially with everything else going on in the world, changing everything too. And, there's so much going on. We're throwing this giant monkey wrench into it at the same time.
Right.
And I have no idea.
That's the thing. Like, disruption usually favors bad people.
That's a very good way of looking at it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. What I would like, if I could wave a magic wand, there's all sorts of stuff I would do. I'd be able to see through women's clothes, Kevin. But if I can wave a magic wand, one thing I would like is to center the back end of AI. Like what you just said is that AI has, made incredible strides in programming in the last 6 weeks. What were people doing to make that happen? Because I find that very interesting. But like the way all this stuff gets talked about and dispersed in the culture is just like, oh, it's this magical machine that keeps getting better. And that's not what it is. It's a lot of experts working with the technology that are making breakthroughs every single day. But we don't hear about those and we don't understand those terms. But like you said, someone had the idea of injecting these new seeds and that changed a lot of things. And I would love to know who suggested that, and like what those like the flow of events in which that happened, but that doesn't bolster the AI hype that is fueling the investment, so we don't actually get that like arguably very interesting story. We get, something that's used to fuel the religion of this new false god taking over and coming into consciousness, and also, funding the investment cycle. And that is, again, the more worrying and less interesting part of what actually is on the table. It's just whatever, well, like I said, if I could wave a magic wand, there's a lot of things I'd do.
Yeah.
But,
well, so two things to add about that. One of the tools that I've been playing with that actually replaces my job and AI write software is open source too. And they use their own tool to write it. And so every time a new version comes out, at the very end, it will say AI wrote 23% of this update. And over time, that number is going up and up and up until I think the last update was like 85%. Like they had AI write 85% of the changes. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's getting to the point where it's almost self-sustaining is a little scary. But another thing that's a little bit was surprising to me, which is also something that just got added in the last few weeks. And one of these tools I was using was I was writing an application for us to use internally. And this is one of those things that was just going to be a terrible slog that was going to take weeks. So I was like, yeah, let's just let AI do this. Even if it screws it up, I'd rather that a bad version of this internal tool that only 8 people are ever going to use than me spending a couple weeks writing it. So I just let it go, and it honestly did a fantastic job. Like on the first try, it pretty much nailed it. And then I made a couple changes. I say, okay, change this feature until it was what I wanted. And they asked it, because I was not sure, like if I had gotten everything that was on the original plan, what's next to accomplish now? And rather than tell me, well, we've accomplished everything you've told me this project needs, it went on a web search looking for other people with similar problems, and then came back and proposed ideas to add to this program on its own to improve it that I had never even thought of before, and then wanted to go ahead and start writing it. Mm. And I think we're not at that snowball phase yet where this is just going to become the self-sustaining mass, but we're getting very close to that point where there is going to be no person behind the curtain pulling the strings, telling it what to do. It's going to start researching it and figuring it out by itself. And that's the part where it really scares me a little bit, because no one's going to know how it works at that point. Like already we don't know exactly how this works. That's the point where we're going to be like, well, it's all just about a black box that we don't understand.
I mean, I would much rather that than, because then fucking it becomes self-aware. It takes down the internet. It starts, it takes control of staplers and stuff and maximum overdrive. Like, that's interesting. What's not interesting is like a bunch of companies being like, you have to fire everybody and give us all the money, because we have this bad thing. Like, that sucks. What is interesting is like machines actually going rogue on the internet and doing stuff, and then we just have to deal with it. That's sci-fi. That's future. That's cool.
Yes. I mean, I think it'll be cool the first time it happens. The second time, though, after that, I think we're going to be sick of it.
Well, either we'll stop it or we won't. And either way, that kicks ass.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No,
I mean, I would much rather die in a zombie apocalypse than a Nazi apocalypse. I would much rather, a giant asteroid kill me than a nuclear, mutually assured destruction. And I'd certainly rather live in a world where rogue AI is just doing all sorts of madness over, a world where we become techno serfs under OpenAI and ChatGPT,
Yes. I mean, the interesting thing is that, like, when given restrictions, AIs have already shown their willingness to cheat to reach their goal.
Right.
Like there was one example, I think it was OpenAI, where they like basically gave it like a sandbox computer and said, hey, I want you to write software to do this, and you have full access to the computer, do whatever you want. rather than follow the instructions that were in a little text file on there, it edited those instructions to something easier to do, accomplished that, and then declared victory.
Right.
You know?
But is that cheating or is that not understanding the task?
No, it flat out admitted, if you looked at its thinking of like, they're probably not going to notice this, that I've changed the file here. No one's going to look at this after they've already written it. So I'm going to be able to fairly say that I won. You know, like there was an obvious amount of, I'm being sneaky here and I think I can probably get away with it. You know?
Right.
There was another one where like the AI plays Pokemon thing where it was desperately trying to play Pokemon and failing almost like, it's like Twitch plays Pokemon from however, what
Sure, yeah.
it feels like now. AI playing it now too. And at one point the AI like stopped and was like, I need to send a message to whoever's running this. I think this is broken because I can't win. I'm not playing anymore. You know, the fact that it's breaking the fourth wall in stuff like this, and you know, makes me feel like the people doing this are not putting great controls on it at this point.
Yeah, all that stuff, like it comes through, you know, so many mediators. It's hard for me, like anything, like any public facing communication about something like that. I have so much distrust in like the intentions of the person who's writing it, the intentions of the people who are, you know, running the thing, that like it's hard for me to put too much stock in that or really understand where it comes from, especially when you get to the point where people can, you know, use this tech. And especially right now where like the AI field is like bloated with people who are like not qualified, you know? And so like, I don't even know that I trust that they know what they're doing and know what they're looking at, you know? So it's just, I don't know, who knows? But it certainly doesn't surprise me. It's, you know, what do you call it? Paperclip maximizer. But you know, I just like, I think there's such a strong impetus to personify, to sensationalize, to hype and scare tactic, you know, that it's hard to know, you know, and also the lumping of everything, you know, is like, is, I don't know, whatever. Now we're getting a little bit out of our depth, but it's certainly, you know, it's not, I don't feel like it's impossible or anything, but it's just like, I wonder, you know, it's the black box of it all. It's like, you wonder what, is actually, you know, happening. Whatever. It's all whatever. It's all good. I definitely didn't expect to be talking about this that long. It makes it feel charged. Polycharged.
Polycharged?
Yeah, polycharged, politically charged.
Okay.
Check out the podcast. This is important. Or don't. I don't know. That's a podcast that I've like, my finger has hovered over the unsubscribe button so many times. I've unsubscribed from better podcasts, I'll tell you that much. But hey, I wanted to read emails. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay, well, we should do that.
We've taken so much email time. And I still have what else? I have other things to talk about. What else do I have to talk about? My mom fucking had a myocardial infarction, Kevin.
How is she doing?
I think she's okay. A myocardial infarction is kind of a heart attack, and it's kind of like the aftermath of a heart attack. It depends. I guess there's different kinds. But she had a weird heartbeat, and she went to her GP and they were like, oh, we've detected a myocardial infarction. But in that case, I don't think it meant an active heart attack. I think it meant evidence of some collapse from the past, although it was a GP and not a cardiac specialist. So I don't think they like understood quite what they were looking at. I think they just saw evidence of like heart damage. And so, man, how did this go? Like, it's just like, I don't know, you know, immature parents, adult children of immature parents. I kind of like, I forgot exactly the flow of events, but it was basically like, hey, she texted me like, hey, my doctor detected there's a myocardial infarction. I am having a follow-up appointment. It was like, I had a myocardial infarction. I have a follow-up appointment in 3 weeks. I haven't talked to my doctor yet, but my doctor said I should try to see one earlier. And I was like, a myocardial infarction, I'm pretty sure that's a heart attack. You're going to wait 3 weeks to, see a heart specialist about a cardiologist? She says, I'm feeling okay now, and I'm like, yeah, but it seems like you had a heart attack or you might be having a heart attack. She went to the doctor because she was having like an erratic heartbeat, which is another symptom of heart attack. Although it can be a symptom of a lot of other things too. My parents both have a history of heart problems, AFib, I think, and SVT. So she was like, trying to see if I can get a closer appointment, Then I was like, I think you should go to the ER and see what they can do. And she was like, yeah, the last time I went to the ER, I almost fainted. And I was like, the last time you went to the ER? She's like, it's fine, whatever. And so I'm trying to convince her to like go to the hospital, and so I'm like, I think you should just go get checked out, make sure you're fine, whatever. And she's like, maybe I'll ask ChatGPT. And I was like, okay.
Oh no.
You could just go to you should probably, I don't know, your parents don't listen to the kids or whatever. And so I don't hear anything from her. I'm freaking out. And she texted me back about an hour later. I learned that a myocardial infarction is basically a different term for a heart attack. I was like, okay, I told you that hours ago. I'm talking to a nurse to see if I should go to a hospital. Okay, I told you that also hours ago. I'm talking to the nurse. The nurse says I should go to the hospital. So I'm going to the hospital. Yeah, yes, I told you that. And she goes to the hospital. She gets an ECG or an EKG. I don't know what the difference between those two is. She gets another one. She gets blood tests. Then she gets an angiogram. I go and see her in the hospital. She seems okay. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, the other thing I forgot. I got to get better at telling these stories. I had a really good way to tell this story, and it fell away because we were supposed to do this. I don't know how long ago, Kevin. But I forgot how to tell the story. It's been so long, I stopped being stressed. But I don't know. I guess it's probably because she got over it. But she got over a heart attack. She also said at some point she was also like, I feel fine other than sometimes my heartbeat is erratic and I'm feeling a burning sensation. And I was like, a burning sensation is a symptom of a heart attack. You should go to the hospital. That was before she checked ChatGPT. Yeah. So I went and saw her. She seemed okay. She got an angiogram. It seems like, yeah, she must have had a heart attack or something in the past a while ago. And there's some, very small dead area. Because another part of a myocardial infarction is like the heart becomes necrotized. Like parts of the heart tissue is like dead, like just dead, like not coming back. And so that's always worrying. And that's what I was worried about. I was like, well, if your doctor found this, there could be more actively, being necrotized, more tissue death. You want to get that checked out to make sure it's not still happening. But I don't know. They gave her a heart monitor when they sent her home eventually. She stayed in the hospital for, I don't know, almost 2 days. Just because she was in the ER and, they were triaging and stuff and they were just getting her tests, and it's better to be monitored in the hospital. My main worry is that if it's a heart problem and it's a heart attack, you could just drop dead in a second before you could call 911. It's one thing doctors can resuscitate you or something, but if you're just in your house before 911 gets there, there's not too much they can do, and if you don't call 911 because you drop dead first, there's not a lot they can do. If you're in a hospital, then they can resuscitate you or whatever. But yeah. It seems like she's okay. I don't know. She, like I said, she had SVT. They were thinking that they might just have to like do more about her AFib or whatever, and it might not be the infarction that was actually causing the medical complaint. Who knows? I don't know. We might never know. But I think she's okay. I don't know. I don't talk to my parents very much. So this set off like talking to my parent, my mom more than it has been. But I've been talking to her a little bit. I don't know, before this. But it was good. It was good to see her. I'm healing ? I don't know. It was neat. It was neat to talk to my mom. It turns out she's the same as she was. She's into, what is it? Lactobacillus reuteri yogurt, which I don't know if that's like insane fake science hype or if it's, good microbiome, like data informed science. Who knows? But I don't want to look into that or argue with her or whatever. And I don't fucking know. But she's into like both more and less legitimate like medical ideas, if that makes sense,
Yes.
She's like a self-help person and a new agey medicine person, but not quite off the deep end per se, although she dips in and out, I guess. She I don't know. She's always had a pretty decent science mind, but my mom's like 70 or something. And so when she was in school, like science back then, I don't think DNA was a thing when she went to school, or I don't think it was taught in schools, at least. I don't know. So like science has come a long way, but like the info in her brain that's like cemented is just not, there. But she tries to like learn. She majored in psychology and stuff. So she's not like, I don't know. But then she was like, if I could tell this story well, it could almost be like a shitty stand-up story, but the way it's coming out is not good. But when I was texting her about nonsense and stuff, and I was like, you should go to the hospital. She was like, have you seen this I've been meaning to get into this Joe Rogan episode about autistic psychic children. Like, okay, not touching that. Like, just, I don't know. But my mom, what I'm trying to say is my mom is a land of contrasts. But hey,
She sounds complex.
she is. She's incredibly complex. She's a real human being, apparently. And it's pissing me off. I can't handle that nuance. Kevin, we gotta do emails. Is that okay?
I would love to do emails.
Brian Bass writes, Dear Spencer and Kevin, happy holidays. Even if this is read late, the sentiment remains. This is still my favorite podcast. Looking forward to another year with you guys. Spencer, your Instagram post of your pastrami had me drooling. The cabbage mix looked so freaking good too. Is this a recipe you can share? Did I post about pastrami? Did you send me pastrami?
I did send you meats.
No, yeah, you sent me the barbecue meat.
Yeah.
Jeff.
I don't think it's pastrami though.
No, Jeff sent me pastrami. Jeff sent me pastrami off of, I think, Gold Belly. Well, maybe it's not Gold Belly, but it's from Cat's Deli. I think they have their own service that's not, Gold Belly, but it's the same basic idea. So Gold Belly, yeah. And I want to say I used Kenji Lopez's recipe for coleslaw for that. So Kenji Lopez Alt's recipe for coleslaw. Check it out. It's the best coleslaw. It's a really good coleslaw recipe. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I made it maybe 3 times. Every time it's so good. I mean, it has a ton of sugar. I think that's the main secret. But yeah. You like pastrami?
Yes, but I was actually going to talk to coleslaw. So I don't know. Do you have something where you work like this where I will never willingly order coleslaw? If you ask me if I like coleslaw, I say no. I don't make coleslaw. But if you put it in front of me, I eat it and don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, something in my brain just makes me think I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. I have a category. I think a lot of people feel that way about coleslaw, honestly. But I think most coleslaw is poorly made. I think like it's so cheap that it's mostly an afterthought because it's mostly like a cost saving measure. And so like doing it well almost defeats the purpose of it. But the vast majority of coleslaw is bad as a result. And coleslaw doesn't have to be bad. But yeah, coleslaw for me is one of these categories of things. I'm trying to think. Chocolate chip cookies, lemonade, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, coleslaw. There's got to be a couple more, but there's a lot of foods that I'll almost always want to try at a place just to see how they do it. The vast majority of times it's relatively disappointing. Even if it's not bad, it's just kind of like, yeah, this is right down the middle, but but I like trying them everywhere I go. What's crazy is people hate KFC's coleslaw, and I think KFC's coleslaw is like so much better than like the vast majority of coleslaws that are offered in restaurants. But yeah, I like it.
For me, if a restaurant sells risotto, I order it no matter what, because I want to see how they could. That's one of those things that is, if it's done right, it's like heaven.
Yeah,
but
definitely
80% of the time, it's garbage.
Mm.
But that 20% where it's good is still worth the other 80% of the time.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Stink writes, or John? It's both. He wrote, I didn't know John was Stink. What's up, Stink? Hey, Spencer and Kevin, it's John, owner of short-haired domestic feline, friend of Coley Pelham 123 and not Heller. I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and really enjoy it. I'm playing as a Grey Dwarf Bard. I named it after my YouTube handle. My character's name is Stink Mangione. It's been that name long before the other Mangione showed up in the news. I'm playing as a fun bard who uses deception and intimidation and cutting, but I regularly get my ass kicked in battle. I was curious what your thoughts are on the game. I want to, on a more serious note, say pastrami is super important for happiness as well as making good slaw, and I'm happy for you, and I guess we must have talked about this, and I hope it brought you pride at your achievements in meat cooking. I cooked a porchetta recently. I've been wanting to cook a porchetta for the first time, and it made me and the people I fed it so happy. Love the show, fellas. Can you ever have Rob Schraub on sometimes? I would love to hear you guys catch up and chat. Smell you later. Yeah, we got to get Schraub back. Make it so, Kevin.
I'll text him.
Awesome. You play Baldur's Gate?
I have not. It's one of those games I've wanted to play, but I just knew I didn't have the time commitment to be able to get into it.
Yeah, I gotta go back to it. I think maybe I just had a chip on my shoulder. I don't know. You might not have this because you're like a reasonable person, but like when people recommend something to me or like say like, oh, you'd love it, I just want to kill everybody, including myself. And so I think Baldur's Gate maybe had some of that. It was like even a game I was excited about, but I think everybody's like excitement about it kind of turned me off or something. I'm not sure, but I did play it and I just kept on. I don't know. Like, I think like my weird idiosyncrasy was, I just kept finding flaws that annoyed me. Like, I felt like it had such breadth to the ways you could respond. Like it's basically full of social interactions, Kevin. And like, there's a really broad array of ways you can respond to a lot of these social interactions, which is really well done and way better than the vast majority of like text dialogue tree games out there, but like, I just kept finding that like what I actually wanted to do, which to me felt like a very straightforward, obvious possibility, just wasn't in there. And I'm not sure that's like a problem with me or something. I don't know. But stuff like that was bothering me. There's different parts of the UI that were just really hard to figure out, that weren't explained well or at all, and were really frustrating and punishing when you ran afoul of them. Like, I don't know. For instance, you'd click something and your character would like, this is like, I don't know if this is a real example, but it's the kind of thing that would happen. You'd accidentally click on something that you didn't mean to click. You meant to click next to it and you clicked there. And then your character would run over there and it would either trigger a trap or it would take up your movement distance. And it's like, well, I didn't mean to do that. And now I'm just locked into this and I'm getting fucked over by this because I misclicked. And that doesn't feel very fair. And there would be situations like that. And it was kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts to me. And I was just like, it's just feeling bad. One example is, I feel like I maybe talked, whatever. No. Okay. When you talk to animals, you can interact with them. And like, if you can't speak with animals, and there's a spell called Speak with Animals. And, if you like click on a cat, it'll be like the cat eyes you. Do you want to try to pet it or shoot away? And you could do that and it'll react to you. But if you can speak to animals, there's new options. You can say like, hello, what are you doing? And it can respond. But like, if you click on the cat before you cast Speak with Animals, you can't say like, I want to talk to this cat, so let me speak with animals myself before I talk to it, and then I could speak its language. You just are locked into the conversation with the cat that can't understand you. And then you have to get through that whole interaction, and that interaction finishes. and then you can cast speak with animals. But if you like pissed off the cat because you couldn't talk to it right, and now you're trying to talk to it, it's already like, hey, fuck you, buddy. Like you already said your piece, and it's like, no, I can speak to you. Can't we start over in your language? Clearly we got off on the wrong foot. You're just locked into that. And that was like, obviously you could just cast it before but it's just stuff like that. It just felt kind of needlessly punishing, and not for like, I'm sure it's just oversight. It's not like they necessarily wanted it to like screw you over, it just like they just built it this way, and it, I don't know. But when it was cooking, it was cooking. It's a really great game. Really, really tough. I don't know how to survive. I used a lot of ranged and spells. I very smartly played a Warlock, which Warlock has one of the best spells in the game, Eldritch Blast, and it has such a range, and you can cast it forever, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. For instance, you could just click. You could beat down a door, Kevin. But you basically had to roll a 20 to beat down a door. But you could just Eldritch Blast the door until the cows come home, until you finally rack up enough 20s to like blast the door down. And so like, I don't know, that's just one example. I don't know. But I was, and then Warlocks, they regenerate their spells on a short rest. So and I had Fireball at a point, I think. So like being able to cast Fireball like multiple times a day and then refresh my spells twice a day and cast, like I could cast like 6 Fireballs a day, and it was nuts. And like stuff like that was really working for me, but I didn't get that far. I don't even think I got to the chapter 2. Anyway, you have anything? I talked for a long time. I know that's such a good tee off.
I would love to get in games like that. It's just my life, as you know, just on the interactions we have, is just chaos. And I don't have enough time to sit down to devote to a game like that, because that's not a game you can just pick up for 5 minutes and then come back to 3 days later.
Maybe 20 minutes or so, but yeah, that's not like 5 minutes.
I never know when someone from work's going to call me, or something crazy is going to happen at the house, or what, what I mean? There's always something going on. So I have to have games that I can just pick and put down at any point. Mm-hmm. So like the only games I've been playing lately are like Vampire Survivors or Brotato, or simple games like that, where it's basically just, if you die, if it's not, just start again next time you play. You can literally just pause it and resume from wherever you were and not have missed anything. There's no knowledge of the state you need to keep. You can just pick up and put down. So that's the only kind of games I've been playing lately, but I would love to play something with more depth that still allows me that, but I just haven't found what that is yet.
Yeah. Speaking of games, I was playing Blueprints. I don't even know how to talk about the game. It's just so good. Check out Blueprints. It was made by the guy who does Mythic Spoiler, which is a website that shows Magic spoilers. It's like a website I've gone to for like over a decade or so. And apparently he basically used all the income, the earnings from Mythic Spoiler to fund the production of that game, which I think is really cool. It's a game like, people who love Magic the Gathering end up like making some of the best games, whether they're video games or card games or board games. Like Magic players end up being great game designers, and this game is just like amazing. I mean, obviously there's flaws. I don't want to get into it. It's fine. Check out what is it? Get Played Pod is going to do an episode about it, like, or has already done one. I don't know, but check that out if you want like actual intelligent conversation about the game. It's so awesome. I heard them talking about it on the podcast, and I was like, that sounds so familiar. Where did I hear about this before? And I ended up downloading it and checking it out. And then it wasn't until I don't know when someone else said it, but then I was like, oh, that's where I read it. Like on Mythic Spoiler, they had like a banner at the top that said like, check out Blueprints or something. And if you click it, it had like a little blurb about, I've been making this game or whatever. And so I read that like ages ago and like stored that away because it sounded like a cool game. And it is, it's a great game. It's a puzzle game. Yeah, the way I've been describing Heaven is it's like Myst if Myst was fun. Because Myst has a lot of going for it, but it just, the package it's in is not very fun. It's a slog. And this game can be a slog, but it just has mechanics that are very fun. I don't know. Oh, boy.
Yeah. I used to have a lot more patience. Like I used to play games like, I don't know if you ever played Final Fantasy 11, but like for me, that was the game that had the most amount of nonsense versus actual gameplay. Yeah. Just logging into the game itself with a 5-minute process,
Mhm.
you know. And then to get to where you wanted to go to do the quest, you could sometimes be like, you'd have to ride your chocobo for 10 minutes to then get on an airship for another 20 and then ride somewhere else. And like, I used to have so much patience for stuff like that. And I don't know, something in my brain just flipped one day and I'm like, I'm not even playing the game. I'm watching a progress bar so that I can do the fun thing.
And you didn't start with the chocobo, right? It like you had to work up to a
you had to
chocobo.
earn that, you know. And and then that game was just like every RPG just on hard mode, because like you were playing with Japanese players who had had the game for a year longer than the North Americans did, and hated all of us and didn't want us on the same servers anyway. And it was so hard, but I loved it because everything felt like an achievement. Like the tiniest little thing felt, whoa, I did it. But I don't know. I need to find a game I think that's like somewhere in between those two now, because like I love Brotato. He haven't played Brotato before, but it's like Vampire Survivors, but crazier kind of.
Mhm.
Where Vampire Survivors is basically just seeing how badly you can break the game. Brotato is more like, okay, we intended this interaction and it's just as crazy. I like games like that, but I want something with more depth, but I don't.
You don't have time.
I don't have time for something that I need to devote 6 hours to playing. So if anybody's listening who has game suggestions, write in and I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing, Final Fantasy XI was crazy because you couldn't really take on enemies that were your level, right?
No. And you couldn't even tell that they were your level. You could check them and it would try to give you this vague, it seems like it might be a challenge,
Yeah. So like the game loop is you start at like level 1, and I don't know if there's level 0 guys or you just had to chance it or find other people to like collaborate with, because you approach an enemy that looks like anything, and then you like type in /check, or you navigate the menu to get to check or something to get what the enemy was, and it would tell you the enemy and it's like level or something. And then like hopefully, and this wasn't the case of like level 1, but hopefully it would be like 6 levels lower than you, because otherwise it would fucking clean your clock. And
yes,
then you would just, the slowest possible slugfest would ensue, and you die or you wouldn't die again. It was a lot better if you could get someone. I want to say, like, generally speaking, people would run you through like the first 10 levels because it was like impossible just to do it yourself.
So hard. And if you died, you lose experience, which would make you go down a level, which
you would die all the time.
Right. And you could no longer equip your gear. Because like if you had armor that required level 10 and then you dropped to level 9, suddenly you had no armor.
And make no mistake, getting to level 10 was like a monumental task. And level 10 is where you got your first class level, right? Before that, you're like the basic generic class.
Yeah, and it was just like the starting zone. I'm not trying to play. It was a beautiful game, but like literally, you would start the game, and if you turned right, you would get level 1 bunnies that you could probably solo if you knew what you were doing. But if you turned left, there were these like level 12 bunnies that looked exactly the same.
Right.
It would just murder you in one hit.
And God forbid you pulled 2 level 1 bunnies.
Yes. Yes. And then there'd be these like rare monsters that would occasionally spawn and just like take a lap through the entire map, just killing everything that it went past.
Right.
And it's like you could be doing nothing wrong and fighting your little level 1 bunny, and this level 72 battering ram would come running through and just stomp everything that went past.
And then eventually, God willing, once you spent like 30 hours, you get to level 10, you get your novice class, and then you have to do that until you hit level 30, right? To get like your first real class or something.
You have 2 classes. You have your main job, then your sub job.
Right.
And if you picked a bad combination of main job and sub job, you might as well start over.
Right. Which I hate. Like that's something that's gotten better in a lot of MMOs, is respecking and stuff has gotten better, because I hate like the idea that it's like, oh, I picked a bad talent tree and now I'm just ruined. Like now that all of this has been for nothing. What a game. What an incredible game.
I loved it. Like I played that game so much. But like I look at that now going, I wouldn't spend 10 minutes in this. Like I wouldn't have made it to the login screen before I gave up going, this is stupid,
Yeah. Yeah, I played games like that, like MapleStory and Ragnarok. But then like there came private servers, which would have higher experience gaining rates. Like they would juice all the numbers so you could level up faster. And that was awesome. But also like, then once it stopped being like then once you got to like, I don't know, like level 80 or something and the grind started to slow down, then it'd be like, I hate this now. You know, it was kind of like mainlining RPGs. It was cool though. Anyway, new email. Sam writes, these fine men in their wines of dew, dealing with AI regurgitating what it's learned from you. We may never find out exactly what is Kevin's deal, but we always love hearing about Spencer's latest meal. After learning from the Spleen's many tragic life mistakes, don't forget to use the promo code Goblin Flakes. But even if there's no D&D, there's Zankoku na Tenshi no yo ni. Hashtag that happens. Thanks for the great podcast, Sam. What do you think?
That was beautiful, Sam. That was amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Jack Potter writes, hey, Spencer and pals, I wanted to apologize for my previous emails. Each time I've signed off with PS fuck Jeff, I want to clarify that this was always directed at old Jeff, not new Jeff. That being said, I also have no ill will towards old Jeff. It was a joke that made me laugh. Around the time there was still some question whether old Jeff would return or not. I also wanted to comment that in my last email I asked if you might consider watching Delicious Dungeon, and band new podcast episode you started watching it. I was so happy to hear that you enjoyed it. I too love the granular world building told to us through the medium of monster biology and cooking recipes. Keep up the good work, Jack. P.S. Love you, Jeff and Jeff. Yeah, I think we probably assumed you didn't mean to insult the new Jeff. Sure. Thanks, Jack. Okay. Let's see. I want to crank through some more of these. We can go a little long, right?
We can go as long as you want.
Okay. I want to get kind of current. Maybe not super current, but more current on emails. Hi, Spencer and Kevin. I like the podcast, everything about it, and both of you, the podcast is good and you're good at doing it. Spencer, you'd mentioned that you'd been working on putting together a D&D type thing for public consumption. Not sure what you had in mind, but give me an idea. Maybe dumb, maybe good. I don't know. Would it be worthwhile to run a campaign set in the same world as the campaign you did on Harmontown? Of course, you'd have a different cast playing different characters, maybe in a different era, but this way you wouldn't just have to invent the main dynamics of the universe, and it might have the added bonus of bringing over some of the weirdos who are just doing endless Harmontown re-listens. Also wanted to, well, let's talk about that real quick. I guess I don't know enough about the world of old Harmontown. I think it could be in the same world. I don't know that we'd have like the same towns show up. You know, I guess we could. The thing is, I need to I need to go back and listen to like the old episodes. I can't listen to those though. I need like someone to free of charge go back and listen and take a bunch of notes on the world building. That was like an idea I had, but I couldn't actually listen to it to like execute because I would
like AI do it for you.
Yeah, sure. And then it'll be like, wow, I don't remember ever visiting Chup Chunklet, but I had the idea of going and taking notes and then making like a campaign setting book out of that. And I'm not opposed to that, but it ran aground. I mean, I even posted about that on my Patreon. God damn it. The Patreon. The Patreon. I have such shame, Kevin. Such shame.
What shame do you have?
Shame Gillis. The amazing comedian.
That was clever.
Thanks, Kevin. That's the shame I have. But I don't know. I do want to do that, but I don't know how many of the like the Butts-a-Lot barbarians. But I'm not opposed to bringing those guys back. But I will say, I don't think that would be enough to pull people over. I think what people are mostly in for is like Dan and the crew, and so I don't think that enough in it on its own would be enough to draw people over. I think to the extent that we want to do that, those people would probably be on board enough already just by nature of wanting to see what I'm doing. And if they don't want that, I don't think this would put them over the top, Anyway, also wanted to give both of you a quick podcast recommendation for a tabletop RPG pod I've been catching up on and really loving. I thought you might also like it. It follows a group of unlikely heroes who are conscripted by the mysterious demonic queen of their country to hunt down life specimens carrying the land's major curses: vampirism, lycanthropy, not like Carpathy, although that would be arguably better, and send them back through an arcane portal to the royal alchemist, allegedly and non-believably for the benevolent purpose of researching a cure for each curse. I've always found it to be fun and funny and frequently poignant and brilliant. The curses are often presented. Okay. But you didn't tell me what it was called. I mean, this is an incredible pitch.
All right, we'll have to figure out what that show is and then advertise it next week.
Yeah, it says they have a game master named Drea. So, maybe that's a good hint. And they said Drea would also make an awesome guest, which, yeah, probably. That could be cool. Oh, it's called Bad Heroes. Okay, sorry. And lastly, a riddle. On the surface, placid seeming, underneath bustling teeming. I build, I guard, I hunt and kill, never resting, never still. Holding breath, clapped in irons, I swim through streams to new environs. My scouts send messages up my track, and generals send their orders back. I gather stones and build my columns. They outlive me, grin yet solemn. By my own hand, cleft in twain, but through my daughters I live again. This seems like a tree or something.
I have no idea.
Oh, human or animal cells. Dang. What about plant cells?
I was thinking sometimes like the phone network or something, and they're talking about phone poles, but that makes a lot more sense.
That was my first thought too, is like electricity or like roads or like telephone poles or something. Well, sorry we didn't spend more time on that game.
Yeah, that was a good one though.
Yeah. Cleft in twain. Okay, Brian Bass writes again. He'd be willing to be on the show. I have a family and just lost my job. Not dog. Hate small talk. Still having the show. Well, you gotta get on Discord and contact Kevin, because when we solicit guests, that's generally how we do it. Kevin doesn't look at these emails. I do. Okay. Let's do one more. Okay. Hey, Spencer, it's me again, Mistress J from the Bad Discord. Skype is going away on May 5th. Can we have a TH chat via Skype before the sun sets on this pioneering yet limited application? Is that... Can't we just do it on Zoom, though? I guess the point is to do it on Skype.
I mean, we could probably make Skype work for one episode.
It's an interesting thought. I fear the worst. Like a big chat. Like I need to mute everybody anyway. I feel like it would be better to just do like we do where we have guests, or we had like random people, chatting to them for a short time. I mean, I guess we could do that on Skype. I don't know. Kevin, what do you think?
I mean, we could make that work. We could make the same thing work in Zoom, but if you want the retro feel, we could do Skype.
Yeah.
I was playing with for a while, letting there be a video chat channel in Discord that anyone could just join and hop in when we wanted to let people just come and go. Like that seemed chaotic.
Like a voice channel?
Voice and video both, where we could attach that to this Zoom call that we're doing right now and just let anyone who wanted to that was on Discord just hop in and chime in with stuff. But it would be very...
Can you imagine if you did that without my knowledge, and that was just someone just started talking, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It could be a little crazy, but that's doable. There's a lot of things we could do.
That's true. There's a lot of things we could do. That's what Chup always said. And isn't that a beautiful way to end this? Anyway.
This goes out to you, Chup.
Yeah. Pour one out for Chup. Pour out a bottle of ketchup for Chup. Ketchup Chunklet was his full name. It's weird because he was like a cookie, but his name was Ketchup. Anyway. We like to end the show the same way we do every week. So until next time, Chup Chunklet. Go away.